Chris Doughty, he's a Republican running for governor in Massachusetts. He's in with us, his first appearance. Chris, thanks for coming in.
Gene, thanks for having me.
Let's begin. You're a business guy, right?
I am.
No prior office to hold or to crow about or run away from. Is that right?
That's correct.
Now, you know, the old rap is, well, why don't you start small? Why don't you start as a state representative, a state senator? Why run for governor? Why do you think you can tackle that?
Well, the skills of a governor are the exact same skills as running a large enterprise. It's budgeting, it's finance, it's building teams, it's solving problems. I have spent 30 years solving complex problems, and that's much what a governor does.
Right.
I feel like I have the skills, the energy, the motivation to get into the corner office and start solving problems for our citizens.
Yeah, we've had Governor Kachuri went right from business to the governor's suite in Rhode Island, so it has been done before, but not that often. And again, they say, well, it's going to be a learning curve for you. You've got to learn the political legislative process before you get there. Maybe a state rep or a state senator. You reject that?
I do. I'm running with a running mate, Kate Campanelli, that came from the state legislature. We run as a ticket. She has a great deal of experience there. And I think if you look at Mitt Romney in our state and Governor Baker, they came from the business world. They were executives in larger organizations, and they came in and picked it up quickly. Also, remember, the interview process is over a year. I will know more about the state and the citizens and the needs of the state than probably just about anyone else, other than perhaps Governor Baker.
Yeah, Massachusetts people elect Republicans from time to time. You just mentioned two of them, but not a lot. And the Republicans they elect of kind of middle of the road Republicans. In some quarters they say they're rhinos, right? Baker's not afraid to push back against Donald Trump, and Mitt Romney certainly wasn't. What kind of Republican are you? Are you following their footsteps, or are you a little more to the right?
Well, you know, from day one, I got out on the campaign, people wanted to give me labels. If I got to choose my own, I would say that I'm reasonable, I'm practical, I'm pragmatic, I'm a businessman, and I like to solve problems. My favorite label would be a problem solver. I'm the type of person you would hire to come in and fix things and make things better.
Well, that's a good answer for me, but let me press back a little bit. We know what kind of Republican Baker is. He's in the fashion of New England Republicans. We had the Chafees here, and you've got Collins up in Maine. They're kind of middle of the road. They can go with the Democrats. Is this you, or are you're a little more firm, a little more stern on certain issues than they are?
Well, I'd say I'm reasonable and I'm practical. I think I'm able to read, you know, what the voters want in Massachusetts, and I'll reflect that. I'm also very much willing to work across the aisleway. I recognize in Massachusetts that the Democratic Party has the majority, and we have to work together on these things. At the same time, I do believe in a two-party system. I think it's so important that you have two teams on the field. How would the Patriots be if they only played against themselves? Right. I think having that debate and that discussion, that friction is very helpful for the citizens.
Where do you stand on Donald Trump as the titular leader of your party, some people say? Did you vote for Trump?
In 2016, I didn't. I had some concerns about the tone and the tenure, but in 2020, I voted for him. I thought his policies on international trade practices were excellent. And for my business and for many of my customers, they were being just really harmed by unfair trade practices. I can tell you that shipping overseas is very difficult from other countries, but receiving into the U.S. at the time was so easy that there was an unfair trade balance. And so I'm glad he stood up for that.
So you're not running away from him?
Well, I think some of his policies were beneficial. You look at his trade policies. He was also the one that brought up NAFTA. Now, I'm a survivor of NAFTA. There's a lot of people that don't remember it. But there were whole communities in the Midwest wiped out by NAFTA, whole towns. Right. And so I think he was right on that too.
You run a company called Capstan Atlantic, and you were telling me you make auto parts, but not parts that I would see in a store.
That's right.
These are components within the transmission.
Right.
And you're very successful at that.
Yeah.
Did you start the company?
I bought it with a partner back in the early 90s. It was a small company. It didn't make auto parts at the time. Just a dozen or so employees made typewriter parts and lock parts. And so just over the course of a career, we grew it, ended up with multiple plants around the U.S. making these metal parts.
All right. You're not running to be Donald Trump's running mate, but since you're not running away from him, you said you voted for him, you said he was good for your business. We just had a big hearing down in Washington where they portrayed Donald Trump as a terrible person who watched the riots unfold and did nothing until the very last minute when it was too late. How do you square the two?
Yeah. You know, I didn't get a chance to watch the hearings because I was on the campaign trail, but I hear they were handled well and people felt like it was addressed. And, you know, we got to make sure that our laws are followed. I'm a law and order man, and any laws that are broken should be dealt with.
Do you think Donald Trump should run again?
Well, I think our party might benefit by having a next generation, a new voice. You know, he's been in office, and I think it's probably time for, you know, a new generation to come into our party.
An understanding of what kind of Republican you are. Anybody you'd like to name? Do you like DeSantis?
You know, I think there's things I like about a lot of governors. I like Chris Sununu. He's been a real tax cutter. I'm impressed with that.
That's your neighbor. Yep.
Yeah, and I think Bill Lee down in Tennessee has been very pro-business. I think DeSantis has been a good governor. I think there's a lot of good governors we could look at. I think Charlie Baker in our state has a tremendous work ethic and has high moral character. I respect that as well.
He may run for president. He says no, but who knows what
Who knows?
he's going to do. By the way, in the introduction I said, can you fill his golden shoes? He's basically been untouchable with regard to very few things here and there. He's really been on a roll as governor. Can you keep that momentum going?
Absolutely. Absolutely. The thing about Governor Baker, there's some attributes that he has that I have as well. One is he had an executive background. He was accustomed to setting goals and solving problems. He also was, he's one that works really hard, and so do I. I like work. You know, he works, he's got a great work ethic. The third thing is he's got great loyalty with his employees. If you look at the turnover of his administration, it's very similar to my turnover at my company. People stay for a long time, he takes good care of them, and I think that's critical for good governance and good management.
All right, well, if you were governor, he just vetoed the driver's licenses for illegal immigrants, but he was, the legislature overrode him on that.
Yeah.
One of his few failures, by the way, or setbacks. So you're going to get driver's licenses for illegal immigrants in Massachusetts in July. Is that something good?
Well, I agree with Governor Baker that our Department of Motor Vehicle Registration is probably one of our weakest departments, and now we've put this great responsibility on one of our weakest departments. So as governor, I could see, and it's implemented not long after I'd become governor, so I think on day one, there's got to be a big hiring program, a great training program, because we'll have a flood of people coming in for licenses at that point.
Fundamentally, would you have vetoed it as well?
I would have. I think his reasoning was legitimate, that the department's not ready for what they were proposing. To me, it felt like ready, fire, aim.
Okay. Just a couple of quick ones on gun control. Can more be done in your state? You're a Republican. The Democrats hammer you for not doing enough.
Well, you know, I'm heartbroken like everyone else is and worried about kids. I'm a father of 6 and a grandfather of 4. I want to tell every citizen, when you put your child on a school bus or send them to school, I will be personally accountable for their safety. I will do everything I can. I want to do a gap analysis to make sure we have the right gun laws. I want to do a gap analysis, make sure our schools are safe. So I understand parents' concerns because I have them too.
Right. All right. Now, you're from Rentham,
Yes.
which is our neck of the woods. You're in Channel 10 land. But so is Bristol County, Fall River, New Bedford. They always complain they never get enough attention from Boston. Do you believe that to be the case, and will you do more for the Massachusetts people watching this morning?
Yeah, you know, I feel it in my heart. I had some of my philanthropic work was down in the New Bedford Fall River area. I know it well. I've probably driven most of the streets down there, and I feel very close to them. Also, a lot of my employees in Rentham come from Fall River, New Bedford, here in Rhode Island, and so, yeah, I feel close to these communities.
Well, Chris Doughty coming in, introduction. You're a Republican running for governor in Massachusetts. Good luck with that. We'll have you on again at some point.
Thank you, Gene.